Singapore has been Southeast Asia's most modern city for over a century. Even physically small, the country is an economic giant. The city is located at the southern tips of the Malay Peninsula. It consists of the diamond-shaped island and some 60 small islands. An island is separated from Peninsula Malaysia by Johor Strait with a causeway, Caribbean Road, railway, and water pipe. With a tropical climate, Singapore and Cambodia have similar climatic conditions. The nation owes its growth to its focal position, where it dominates the Strait of Malacca, which makes it one of the largest and busiest ports in Asia. The harbour is the center for trade and information. Back to the 19th century, Singapore was founded by Thomas Stamford Raffles, who created a framework for Singapore's early success. However, modern Singapore owes to its former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, who shaped Singapore's existence as an independent nation and defined a path to its current success. During the Second World War, Singapore became a British colony soon after Japanese force surrender. Singapore held its first general election in 1959. The People Action Party, led by Lee Kuan Yew, won 43 out of 51 seats and he became Prime Minister. The country declared independence in 1965, 2 years after separating from the Federation of Malaysia. In 1967, Singapore was one of the founder members of ASEAN. By the 1990s, Singapore became a newly industrialized country. Mr. Lee created the Singapore model, which transforms the nation into a gleaming metropolis. However, under his leadership, the government and the society were strictly controlled. The New York Times described the Singapore model as a made-up semi-authoritarian. It's highly centralized and meritocratic. Surprisingly, Singapore has almost no corruption, in an area of the world where corruption is often a pervasive issue. At the same time, the government maintained its control by promoting social growth and a national paternalistic ideology through laws and institutions. In 1990, there was a major change in Singapore politics. Mr. Lee stepped down after 31 years in power, and Goh Chok Tong became Prime Minister for a decade before Mr. Lee's son Lee Hsien Loong took over in 2004. In 2015, Singapore's founding father died at age 31. Singapore also marked its 50th anniversary of independence from Malaysia. Despite many criticisms on Singapore's political system, it is undeniable that Singapore has been governed undemocratically but effectively.
50 years ago, Singapore was an undeveloped country with a GDP per capita of less than $320. Today, it is one of the world's fastest growing economy countries. Its GDP per capita has risen to over $60,000, making it the sixth highest in the world. For a country that lacks territory, natural resources, Singapore's economy is without doubt remarkable. The country has achieved this remarkable growth through embracing globalization, free market capitalism, emphasizing the importance of education, and the following strict, pragmatic government policies. In order to attract investors, Singapore has created an environment that was safe, corruption-free, low in taxation, and unimpeded by the unions. The path chosen by the government was to curtail personal freedom and replace them with autocratic government. Furthermore, the country has introduced death penalty for crime involving narcotics or corruption to fully eliminate the injustice among the people of Singapore. Because of the above factor, today Singapore is a highly industrialized economy with export trade playing a central role. The port of Singapore is now one of the world's busiest transshipment ports. As for culture, Singapore is a mixture of Asian and European culture. The country influenced by Malay, Chinese, Indian, and European culture. The country lives in harmony with one another race. Singapore has been dubbed as a country where East meets West or Easy Asia and Garden City. For religion, Buddhism is the largest religion in the country, with a 33.2% of the population adhering to this religion. 18.8% of the population adhere to Christianity, following Taoism and folk religion for 10% of the population of Singapore. And lastly, Muslim and Hindus constitute of 14% and 5% of the population.
In Singapore, coronavirus is vulnerable. Changi Airport is one of the most interconnected hubs in the world because it connects to many international countries. But the scenes this day are very different. The terminal taking the temperature of passengers as they enter or exit Singapore. When a virus comes to Singapore, it won't just affect the city. It can be spread through Singapore to another country all over the world. One meeting held in mid-January spread coronavirus all around the world. More than 100 people attending the conference, including some from China. After a week, confirmed case of coronavirus popping all over the world. The first Malaysian man to catch the virus was 41 years old. After attending the meeting, Singapore reported the 3 cases. The meeting indicated how Singapore became a superconductor for the coronavirus. The conference is not just a reason. Singapore is at risk of spreading the virus precisely because it's a top destination for international travelers and business meetings. According to BBC, Singapore ministers say,
Well, we are very mindful that we are indeed an open economy. We are an international travel hub. So we are doing all we can to contain that spread. We are putting out information in a very transparent manner, and we continue to work with all health authorities overseas in.
According to Straits Times, Singapore reported another 40 cases on Friday. Singapore reached to 385 cases. Anyway, authorities have taken some action to avoid the spreading. The authorities strongly advise employees to work from home. Protect yourself from COVID-19 by washing hands frequently. Catch, cough, and sneeze with tissue. Avoid touching eye, nose, or mouth. According to CNN News in Singapore, Singapore households will receive hand sanitizer for free.